Welcome back to Mobile Device Automation with UiPath Test Suite. In this demo, we'll look at how to use the logs and the timeline feature in Mobile Device Manager to troubleshoot errors that appear when running mobile automation workflows. As you would expect, a log file contains detailed information on all the executed actions, including the input data, the processes, the output, and the results. Are you interested in finding out more? Each mobile automation project can produce log files. Where the log files are stored, that's something that can be configured. To do that, access the Project Level Settings button in the Mobile Device Manager. As a best practice, it's always a good idea to store the log files in a shared drive location. This way, the entire team of developers and testers can have access to the logs. But for this demo, we'll just leave the default path set here as it is. We can also configure logging at device level. Just click at it for the device you are interested in and navigate to the Logging tab. We can see that for this device, logging is enabled and a storage path is defined. A cool feature for troubleshooting is the video logging, for which we can set the duration and the quality of the recording. We're all set here. Let's create an automation with logging enabled. We'll start by creating a connection, choosing the device and the demo app. We're not looking for anything fancy, just a simple sign-in automation, which will enter the username and password into the application. So, from the demo app's main screen, let's select the login screen box. We'll then enter the username and the password. Finally, we'll hit the login button. And we got ourselves an error. Let's now close the connection and check out the logging features offered. To view the logs for this automation, we need to access the Logs and Timeline option on the left panel down here. This selection window displays all the logs captured for all the automations run with the Mobile Device Manager. We'll select the most recent entry and click Open Log. The log file is displayed using a couple of different panels. At the bottom, we have the execution timeline bar. On the left, we have the panels showing the recorded actions and requests. On the right, we have the visual tree panel with the UI elements. Finally, the center is for the device itself, and you'll see that it's dynamic, showing the action performed. Pretty impressive, right? Let's now find out more about each panel. The execution timeline bar gives us information about each action performed. We also have a detailed view, accessible by switching to Request in the timeline bar. These are basically the low-level HTTP requests made through the actions in our workflow. A useful feature here is that each time we select an action and we switch to the request view, the corresponding requests are highlighted. This helps in reducing the need for manual search of the actions and requests. In the Actions and Requests panel on the left, we have the requests and the in and out arguments corresponding to the action that is selected at that time. There is plenty of information about each of these to help troubleshoot the errors encountered. On the right, we have the Visual Tree panel, which is very similar to the one in the UI Explorer of Studio. Hovering the mouse over the entries on the right will highlight the corresponding elements on the device screen, while clicking on any entry will display the specific details in the panel below on the right. On the other hand, selecting an element on the app screen will show its correspondent in the visual tree. Also, keep in mind that the visual tree displays all this information, even when we aren't connected to the device anymore. The Inspect Element option allows us to point to a UI element and view it in the page source. Finally, we have the option to export the page source entirely. This can be useful when we are doing web automation, as the exported file will have all the HTML elements. Alright, moving on. As you can probably recall, we enabled video logging in the preferences. The camera button here gives us access to the recorded video with the actions performed earlier. The navigation bar below helps to easily go to the part we are interested in. Moreover, when we double-click on an action or request in the execution timeline, the video jumps to the point where the corresponding action was performed. It helps us to find errors with greater accuracy. Finally, the video recording feature allows us to export a recording and share it with others. Up until now, we saw how to check log files and execution timeline for the automation we created. But what if we want to open a log file created by another user, stored in a different location? To open a log file, we'll navigate to the Welcome tab and click Open Log. From here we can open log files from any location. Great. Let's now also check logging in Studio Pro. We'll open Studio Pro and add a mobile connection activity. Then choose the device type and the demo app. The Properties panel displays the logging preferences, just as we have configured them in the Mobile Device Manager. The video logging enabled, the location, and so on. A benefit of having them displayed here is that we can use variables for the logging parameters to avoid hard-coding the values. In this example, we're creating a Boolean variable and then assign it to the login enabled field. With that, we have reached the end of this demo on using the logs and the timeline feature for building more reliable automations. Let's do a quick recap. So far, we've seen how to enable logging at a project level, how to enable logging at a device level, how to view logs, what are the different panels in the logging window, what is the execution time and its components, what is the visual tree, how to use the video logging feature, and how to create a variable and use it in the logging properties in Studio. In the next video, we'll see how to use mobile device connection as a variable in an automation. That's all for today. See you next time.